Melissa Brannon with Startup Prize, and welcome to another of our webinars. I am super excited. We've got Marlyn Brookins here with us today, and we're going to get all into patient recruitment and how to really put your center at the front of your clinical trials. But before we move on to that, just a quick thank you to all of our sponsors who really help us do what we do. We really couldn't do it without them. So, Startup Prize is presented by the Prize Foundation and Louisiana Economic Development with generous support from the Anderson family, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Louisiana, Business First Bank, Caddo Management, Caddo Parish Commissioner, the Chaff and Associates, City of Shreveport, Greater Bossier Economic Development Foundation, Hurd McElroy and Vestal LLC, Kallenberg and Phillips Family Investments, Heidi and Gregory Kallenberg, LSU Health Shreveport, North Louisiana Economic Partnership, and Oshner LSU Health Shreveport. Thank you everyone for helping us run this program. We really appreciate your help. And now, while we are all here, I am very excited to bring up to the Startup Prize stage, Marlyn Brookins. Hello, Marlyn.
Hello, Melissa. Wow, I love your energy. This is
Thank
great.
you.
This
I
is
mean,
so good.
yeah, well, I mean, if we're
Like,
gonna be here, like, let's do this, right?
let's do this, right? Right. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So, yeah, I am Marlyn and I run Insightful Intellect. So, I am the founder of Insightful Intellect, and really I focus on patient and community engagement. So, I help clinical trial teams build trust-based enrollment so we can improve recruitment, retention, and equity, and especially in underserved communities. So I am excited to be here. One of the things I like to do or I like to see is at the early stages, right? The earlier we get started talking about the patient, talking about trials that we're gonna set up, the better, right? The better at the end when we're at clinical trials, the more patients would participate. We'll cut down so many barriers if we start thinking early, right? And
I
so
love it.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited to be here. Yeah, so I can chat
I'm
chat with
super
you guys.
excited to talk about this today because, like, my knowledge of clinical trials is a little bit like I don't have that much, right? And so the fact that you're here to kind of talk with folks, and I love that today we're not going to be focusing so much on the numbers, but really how do you recruit patients? How do you create trials where, it's not really so much about the numbers, but really making an impact and really setting your trials up from the start so that
Hmm.
becomes a lot easier. So maybe we
Yes.
could start with why patient recruitment fails. Like, what have you seen, like, in terms of like trying to like recruit for clinical trials? Um, what are those common pitfalls or common challenges that companies may be facing?
Yes. So when we think about patient recruitment in Whitefields, there's a traditional, like barriers such as transportation access. We can talk about protocol design, which is one of the things, we can start right
Hmm.
now, like the unrealistic schedules, burdensome procedures, um, the phases of the trials, the information that they put in the uh, like informed consent and the languages and
Hmm.
stuff,
Hmm.
they're not, understandable to the patients, right?
Got it. Hmm.
And one of the other things, the pitfalls, is that we start recruiting when we have a trial and we just show up in the community like, hey, we got a trial, we got money,
Right.
we got this. Come on, participate.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's the lack of trust, which is where I focus, right? Really
Hmm.
building that relationships, building that trust. So um, when that happens, you get rid of most, if not all, of the common pitfalls, right? Because if
I
you
love
build
that.
with the patient, you can, you know the barriers and know all the stuff that happens before. So the common feature is design. Uh, let's say from the beginning, if we design it with the patients, we build trust, then it'll be smooth sailing. Well, mostly smooth sailing.
Yeah, I love that. So, okay, well then let's talk about like kind of what that recruitment looks like when you're centering the patient. How do you begin to build patient trust early in the
Yes.
process?
early in the process. And
Mhm.
so let's start early, like now. I was in one of the, can you remind me what the stuff I participated in earlier, where I was at the round table with
Oh,
all the
sure.
startups?
You were hosting one of the roundtables at Startup Prize's in-person or excuse me, online qualifying event. Yes,
On
I
online
remember that.
qualifying, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So I'll start with an example that I got there. So
I love that.
one of the founders, they were telling, we're talking about what you're designing, what you're building, and they are mentioning, oh, they have this new device that you can wear on your arm and stuff, and you won't have to stick, and I'm like, have you talked to the patients? Uh, who says they want to carry on a phone or a device versus having
Hmm.
something in their, shoulder? And it's like,
Hmm.
oh, and
Hmm.
really that is where it starts, right? A lot of things we build, and we seem to think that patients would prefer not having a needle stuck in them, but would they prefer what you have, like a phone? Who says they want to
Hmm.
carry that around? And so the only way you can overcome that is by talking to the patients and not talking to me either, right? You
Hmm.
may say, I'm a patient engagement, I'm there, but I tell people you have to talk to the who's going to use it. Who
Hmm.
is using your device? That's who you need to talk to, not the people that advocate for the people using your device.
Right.
They may have some tips, right? I'm
Hmm.
not saying that you don't have some tips, but if you want the best, you talk to the actual people day to day that are using it. Yeah.
Are there ways that are maybe more effective in communicating trial information? Like, I think about like one, like maybe like sometimes like jargon, right? Like some of the medical
Yeah.
jargon can be a little bit overwhelming. Like, what are ways that you can start to communicate about the trial information and make it accessible, but also
Mm-hmm.
transparent? Like, are there
Yeah.
things that you recommend?
Yes. So I recommend cultural context,
Okay.
one, and I recommend talking to your patients. You'll hear me say that a lot
Hmm.
because half of the answers, maybe up to 80% of the answers are with the patient. So for example, use simpler level words. I can give the standard, like speak to
Sure.
people on a sixth grade. Make sure you use relevant language based on their culture, based on their location. Name the disease the way they name the disease.
Mhm.
Don't be, neurological or cardiovascular, like say you got
Yeah.
heart disease, like just speak the language in lay terms. And um the transparency part, you
Hmm.
have to address the mistrust up front. You
Hmm.
have to address that, yes, we are researching these new things. We are not 100% sure how it's going to react in you. We don't know. We do know that there's a history of, exploitation that happens around clinical research.
Hmm.
Talk about that. Talk about, like, don't shy away from that,
Hmm.
right? Really approach it. That's the only way we can move forward. Acknowledge that it happened. Acknowledge that we put these things in place so that it doesn't happen again, right?
Mhm.
So
Oh, I like that.
that full transparency where it's like, okay, they're not hiding away from the tough questions. Maybe I could actually talk to them and see, hear
Well,
what they're saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I like the idea too that you kind of said is like not only being transparent and acknowledging, things that should not have happened in the past that did happen, but I
Mm-hmm.
think too, talking about the safeguards that you're putting into your trial to prevent those from happening again. I think that's actually because it's one thing to just acknowledge, oh yeah, yeah, I understand why you'd be mistrustful.
Yeah.
But to also offer a solution and how you're addressing it, I think is really important. Are there things that you've seen, like, are there like specifics maybe that you've seen that have been helpful in that space? Like kind of thinking in terms of like those safeguards, like how we address maybe that
Oh, your
mistrust.
address. Right. It's talking to the patient. Let's say the
Hmm.
informed consent has a lot of information, right? And it is to first highlight to the patient that at any time you feel unsafe, anytime you just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Hmm.
Anytime you have a question, I am here, right? Ask me a question, or at least provide them with a number or someone. Make it so that they don't feel like I'm pressured into doing this and
Hmm.
they have to see it through, or they have to finish it, or they can't ask questions. So, so relationship is one of the main things. build the relationship, have an open communication. Tell like speak to the patients as a friend. Well, not as a
Mm.
friend, as someone that you know, as a person. Like I mean, like as a person, see them,
Right.
talk about their, their trials, talk about their kids, like that's the only how you'll get to see, well, okay, this is too heavy, right? Or
Mhm.
this isn't working. Because I was reading, I can't remember where it was, but this CRC, every time the patient comes in and they were just reading, you're going through the checklist, do this,
Mhm.
how are you doing today? Did you ask your blood pressure? Like, and he wasn't seeing the patient, and the patient was like, I think I'm gonna drop.
Mm, mhm.
And but he was open to have a conversation, and she said, well, you know, you don't ask about my kids. We just come in here and you do this over and over, and
Mhm.
you don't see me, you just do the checklist, and
Right.
that really changed everything. So it's really relationships, it's really talking, it's
Mhm.
really that's what works, right?
Yeah.
It's not a magic bullet like send a text or
Right.
everybody wants different things. Like each patient is an individual and they
Mm.
like different things. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I wonder, like, as you're kind of starting to build that trust, are there folks in the community that, like, might be advocates, like, help you? Like, are there maybe patient advocates, community health leaders, people like that? Are people that are, like, maybe groups of people that might be worth reaching out to kind of begin building that trust?
Yes, definitely yes. So if whatever space you're in, you
Mhm.
need to have that information about like the demographics, where they are, who you're going to serve. Because I think that's a lot in a lot of the startups, right? When you're building, you have to have that information, if I'm
Mhm.
correct, right?
Yes,
You need
yeah.
to know, yeah, like you're
Who you're
solving a
serving, right.
problem. Yeah, who
Who
you're
is your
serving, like know who you're
right.
serving, and you build relationships with the people that serve them. That's
Mhm.
one of the way, like you build relationships with the people that serve them, and then you try to build relationships with the people themselves. So I would say community health leaders. um I would also say sometimes the best information comes from those that are not like planned or like set up.
Mhm.
So I like to just go to like a health fair or go to a community event, and you really get a feel for the place. So if you're doing diabetes and there's a diabetes walk, you don't necessarily have to be a sponsor or anything
Mm,
big, right? Although those are good.
sure.
But by just mingling with the people on that level, you pick
Mhm.
up a lot more. I mean, patient advocacy groups, they're all good and they all provide some support, but
Mhm.
nothing beats the direct
Direct connection with the
cash
patient.
direct connection with the patient in their
Mhm.
environment, relaxed, no planned, nothing beats
Mhm.
that. So, I mean, yes, patient advocacy groups, community
Right.
health leaders, churches and stuff like that, but you as the founder, you as the person building, just walk through
Yeah,
the
just show up.
environment. Just show up. I mean,
Yeah.
like go to a dialysis clinic. I don't know. I'm just thinking like out of the box and not just check this box I connected with this
Right.
foundation, that foundation. We've had two meetings and like and then we're back to the place we started, right? There's no real
Mhm.
relationship. So,
Yeah, so really, it sounds like a lot of relationship building. Well,
yes.
let's kinda drill down on that, right? And, like, let's
Yeah.
really kind of talk about designing a trial where it's not just about the numbers, but really designing for participation, not just to
Yeah.
stack your numbers for, like, how many people enrolled, right?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
ideally, it's like, it doesn't matter how many people enroll, how many people are completing this trial, right? That's like
Retention. Mhm.
mhm. So how do we begin to design trials not only for participation, but also for retention? What are things that we can begin asking of patients? What are things that, as you are thinking about a trial, that you could keep in mind that would really put the patient first or at the center, at least, of the design?
Yeah, yeah. So the first thing, if you're designing and you have not spoken to a patient or you have not have your patient test a prototype, you're already behind. I'm just gonna say it that way.
No, that's
Because
fine.
if you
Tell them.
if you
Tell
just
them, Marlon.
if you just like, oh yeah, I got this great idea and build it,
Mhm,
and an actual patient hasn't seen it or touched it or tested out, then you're already behind, right?
mhm,
Because when you'll need that in designing, right? Understanding what you have, right? What you're providing and how it works with the patient helps you design the trial. So you know these are the markers that I'm looking for, right?
mhm,
So you need, when you're designing with the patient, you need the patient in the room and you need them to test it out. And then you'll focus on not being too burdensome. Like if they can
mhm,
draw blood once a week, don't make it, every day they need to come in. Be
mhm,
flexible. Sometimes they can go to the quest down the street and get the blood done. They don't have to drive all the way to wherever, right?
mhm,
Think about the time they need off work, right? Do we really need to get all these endpoints, or what is just necessary for now?
mhm,
Sometimes as when you have your new uh your new development, right? You're like, okay, we can test for this, but we can also test for this. So
mhm,
let's just have them do three blood draws and we use one for this and this. No, and then it goes into something else. That means we're not
mhm,
designing with the patient, we're just designing like how much information can we milk out of this one study.
mhm.
And then it's like it's so burdensome because no, the patient has to be doing because you're trying to get 6 or 4 endpoints in this one thing. So, you
Right.
know, I would say flexibility, be flexible. I'm talking about like decentralized trial, hybrid. Think about travel, like any cost that the patient has to feel like make it so they don't have to spend spend any of their money. And think about
Right.
the time as well.
Mhm.
Time is money, right? Time is
Yes, it is.
valuable.
You got one
So
or you
if
got the other.
yeah,
You're spending one of them.
right. So not just, okay, I'll pay you $50, but you're having them come here and sit for 6 hours.
Mhm.
I mean, think about, would you sit here for 6 hours?
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of, like, kind of thinking, like, all the asks you're making of your patient, like,
Yeah.
almost like you could do, like, kind of like, here's the things that, like, we definitely need to get, like, here's the
Mm-hmm.
must-haves, here's the nice to
Yeah.
have, and then, like, kind of really drill down on, like, what are the things that we have to have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, like, how do we make that super easy for our patients, right? And then, like, what are the nice to haves, and
Mm-hmm.
what does that add for our patient?
Right.
Does that add an
Right.
extra burden? Does that add an extra step? Does it add, and how important is it for us to get that information?
Yeah. That's exactly it. Like,
Mm.
don't get lost. Don't get lost
Yeah, well, I
in,
mean, like, I
the
can
endpoints.
understand why it would be because it's like you kinda have folks that are, like, testing and you wanna get information, you wanna get data. Trials aren't easy, like, they
Mm-hmm.
aren't cheap to run. So, I
Right.
think, like, people I understand, like, that desire, right?
Yeah.
How do you how do you balance it? Like, how do you balance that, like, desire to keep the patient at center, but also, you need to hit certain numbers? Like, you know what I mean? It's tricky, right?
I do, and it is tricky, but I
Mhm.
am biased. So
That's fine. Say it honest. Where's your bias? And,
yeah,
and
yeah,
tell us
yeah,
why you're biased.
yeah.
Like, we
I
wanna
I
know.
I yeah, I am biased, and I would patience over profits. That's just the easier way I say it.
Mhm. I love that.
Patients first. I mean, for me, if I have to get less information, but the patients are happy, better.
Mhm.
Because I think a lot of time we're okay with taking 15 to 12 years to get a drug to market. We're okay with making 30 amendments. We're okay with that,
Mhm.
But if we have to design for a patient, all of a sudden everything, oh, this is gonna slow us down because we can't get all the information. But I'm like, you take 10 years, 12 years. I mean,
Mhm.
you do it for R&D, you do it for all of the things. Why you can't just do it for the patient? When
For
it
a
comes to the
person.
patient, yeah, yeah, when it comes to the patient, all of a sudden we don't have
Mhm.
time. We can't be flexible. Like
Mhm.
we are such, but an amendment costs like almost 800 or more.
Right. No,
You
it's
know?
a good point to raise. No, like I mean, like I like the way they are like presenting it.
I'm
It like gives
biased.
people
I'm
it's fine.
biased, yeah.
You're allowed to be biased. It's good. We
Yeah.
want people to be biased for the patient. Like we need to have like
Right.
on both sides, right?
Yeah,
Um,
and because and then another thing I want to add is that the value you think you're gonna get from adding so many endpoints or trying to balance,
mhm,
you're you're not gonna get it. Well,
mhm.
it's
Because
not
what's
gonna
going
work
to
out the
happen?
way you think because guess what? Patients are gonna drop out,
Mhm,
right? You're going to start and you're going to realize this is not feasible, this is not
mhm,
sustainable. And guess what? You have to make an amendment, which means you have to do all of this work again, right?
mhm,
So the thing that you thought would speed you up or help you make more profit is actually slowing you down and making it longer and more complicated and, you know, making a mess for everybody.
mhm.
The patient, if no patient signs up, you don't have a clinical trial. There's no
Right.
way around it. There's no way around it. So
Mhm.
science, yeah, but you need the patience.
Right. Well, what about so patients, but what about like let's say getting others involved? Like do you bring on caregivers when it comes to like planning and things like that? Like and communication around the trial?
Yes, that is definitely important. And um we're not an island, right?
Hmm.
And we're in the research industry, and sometimes we forget that we have families, and that's you need to drop your daughter after school.
Hmm.
If you're older, your son takes care of you. Like, if you have to go to a clinic, someone has to get you there and back. If someone doesn't, you have to call the local transport. Like, we're not an island, and we're a community, and
Hmm.
so. When I say talk to the patients, that's when you'll understand that it was their daughter that brought them here. Or, they have to go home and feed their cat and they're worried about that. Like,
Hmm.
it's a whole community around the patients. So, yes, caregivers, because it's, yes. I could talk about this for days. So
I know, I
let's just
love
say,
it. I mean, like it's obvious, like the passion that you have for it is obvious. Like it's, I feel it through the screen. So like I'm down. Like I like it. We're gonna keep talking about it. Okay, so let me ask you this, because I know sometimes there's a back and forth about it. What about returning results to patients?
mm,
I mean, I know some trials do, some don't. Are there pros, cons? Uh, is there a way that you can do it meaningfully?
that's a good,
Sorry, I know. I
yeah,
give you a
no.
moment to kind of process. I threw a lot at
Yeah,
you.
I mean, I know what my answer is, but I'm trying to be objective here.
Mhm, mhm. We'll start with
Um,
your answer, and then
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
devil's advocate it. All right?
yeah, that's good. So I,
Okay.
I would say yes. I would say
Mhm,
yes. Because it empowers the patient.
mhm.
And if you have an empowered patient, the value that comes along with that is amazing, right?
Speak
It
more about
it's
that. Like, what does an empowered patient do for you as a business and like just in general?
wow, I was like, where do I start? If someone comes, like they participate in a study that you have, right? And they said, okay, this device changed my life. This device has changed my life. Let me tell you where I was. That story is worth millions because
Hmm.
someone hears that, they trust you. Someone knows that you got your result back and you can see, like, you can physically see, like, huh, these are my numbers.
Hmm.
Wow. I have to tell everybody about this, right?
Hmm.
This is how you navigate this. This is what I did. This is what worked because now you're like an empowered patient. I can't begin to share the value that is for your business.
Hmm. Okay, so let me devil's advocate a little bit. But Marlon, that
Right.
takes a lot of time. Like now I've got to go back, I've got to return results. I've got to make sure that the patient understands the results. I've got to walk them through. If it's a small trial, I guess it's not so bad. But like what if it's a larger trial? Like how do I weigh all that? We've got four founders, you know. Tough
This is
is what
this
I
is
hear.
quite
I like it. I mean, like I'm okay with it.
I mean, think about what you do before. Was it hard sending out 300, 300 ICFs? Was it hard collecting all the data and going through it, right?
Mhm.
Wasn't it hard? But you collected it, you had your medical director look through it, you guys went to the data, you built your graphs, you did all of that. Was that hard?
Mhm.
Oh, but you did it. Wow, you did it because it was benefiting you, right? Because
Right.
it was benefiting you. Now, if you give your results back to the patient, you're one, sometimes they have a doctor that can help them, right? And you
Mhm.
don't necessarily mean need to do it.
Right.
Two, guess what? You're gonna have other studies, and I'm pretty sure giving patients back their results is a great way to engage them. So even after the
Mhm.
trials, they can see the full picture. Because that's one of the things. We just jump in, jump out, take what we want, and then come back again and want to. It's like, you didn't even give me my blood work to tell me my cholesterol was high. Like,
Mhm.
and another thing, you're making it more complicated because if I did blood work first visit, when I come back for second visit, it's really just easy to tell me the results from the first visit. Don't make
That
it
is
seem
true.
it's not like you have to give me 3 years of my data.
Right.
Like you see me once
Yeah.
a month. It's not that hard. We just, yeah, it's
No.
just as easy for a doctor to look for your medical director or whoever to look it over as it
Mhm.
is for you to share it with your patient. And a simple like CRCs, I'm not a medical doctor, but look at this. You may want to check out that spot on your brain that we saw on the MRI.
Mm. I would hope God, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm gonna back up, but it's like people would, like, literally there's find, like, that happens?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's
that
like
actually happened. So
mhm.
I went to I'm in the community all the time, and this person came to my desk and they was like,
Mhm.
I had to come up to you because I participated in this study, this Alzheimer's brain study, and
Right?
then when they did the MRI, they found a spot on my brain. And she was saying like, "Oh, I couldn't finish, I couldn't do anything."
Mhm.
But I'm like, th- she's like so thankful for participating in that study
Mhm.
that they were able to catch it early, stop the bleeding. I think it was like
Right.
some bleeding or something. And it matters,
Yeah.
you know? And I know some studies, that was a study that tell you actually like they send it to you can send it to your primary care. So
Mhm.
they have your MRI in the system. So at least there's an MRI on file from 2025. If I get sick and I in 2030, guess
Mhm.
what? There's an MRI on the file. It's not like I need you to explain all of that stuff.
Mhm.
It's just it's like simple thing.
Simple sharing. Yeah.
It's simple sharing. We pass the medical information along for
Mhm.
everything else. It's
Yeah.
really it's the same place people go do the MRI and they send it to the doctor.
Mhm.
Why are we in clinical research making it such a big deal to return information? Like,
Yeah. I c I love it. I love that you're getting worked up. But I mean, like, I do because I think, like, it really the passion is there, obviously, and I love that you're
yeah, I mean, and I think it all comes from where our focus is.
mhm.
Because it's literally, I mean, people hate when I say this, but you're for the profits, you're in this for the money. And I learned this the hard way
Mhm.
because I'm in clinical research and I'm here like I want more people to know about it. I want the medicines that come out to actually work for us.
Mhm.
I want us to trust the science, right?
Yeah.
But people are here just for the money. Like I'm gonna build this startup, I'm gonna sell it, and then if we need 20 amendments, I don't worry about that. Like once I
Mhm.
can get it through phase one and I'm good. So they don't
Right.
really care about it. So, when I accepted that,
Mhm.
that was a big turning point for me, right?
Yeah.
Everybody I talk to, they're not focused on making it better or the long term. It's like this is a business. I'm here, come in, cash out, sell.
Yeah. Kinda forgot why we had the business in the first place was to help
Right, yeah. It's
people.
just like, when people start, it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they're like, I'm just gonna sell it. It's like a business or buy
Mhm.
this, and then go golfing. It happens.
Yeah.
So,
Well, there's also some legal issues, not to, like, fully jump, but we also do have to kind of think about legal, ethical, regulatory
hmm
things. So, let's see, where do we even begin on this? Like, first, maybe on the recruitment side of things,
hmm
what does maybe like understandable consent look like in actual practice? Is that is that a little too much? I
No,
mean, like,
it's not too
mhm,
much because I mean, like every time I take a deep breath like that, it's like the status quo. That's what comes to my mind.
so what
Um,
is status quo do you feel? And like, where should we be trying to head? How about that?
yeah, that's what it's like. This is what they do right now. This is
Mhm.
what happens right now. This is where we should be. This is where I
Yeah.
see us, right? So when we come to like the regulatory stuff and
Mhm.
like getting informed consent, half of the times, yes, patients sign a form, but they don't know what they're signing. They don't understand it. Um, and so there's this, question, is this really informed consent? Because
Mhm.
it's written at, a 12th grade level. The patient reads at, you know, for a 5th grade level.
Mhm.
Um, the CRC just read through the same thing in front of the patient. You're signing up for this and this. There was no explanation. There was no stop.
Mhm.
Like I'm just, yeah. And then the
Like
patient is
someone
like,
reading the disclaimer when you're on like a like a phone,
yeah,
like
yeah,
that, like, and
yeah.
also we're gonna call, you know.
And what makes it worse is like you're in front of them, right?
Mhm.
So on the phone, it's like someone stopped, but imagine someone sitting on a table with you
Mhm.
and they're just reading from a paper. I feel
Right.
that's worse. That's so worse because you can say, check for understanding. There's no check
Mhm.
for understanding. There's no,
Mhm.
okay, no, no, tell me what you understand. There's no, um, do you have any questions? Like
Mhm.
you want to take this home and read it, like, but it's almost like sign here. So
Mhm.
there are rules. Yes, you have to
Mhm.
get informed consent. Uh, yes, they get informed consent, but the jury is still out on whether it's actually informed consent if patients don't understand what they do and what they sign. And
Mhm.
and so they may sign up, they sign it, and then by the second visit they're like,
What
ghost
did I get
you, no
myself into?
talking. Yeah, they don't call, they don't, because there wasn't that understanding. So
Mhm.
the plain language, no coercive language, those are the rules, right? You can't say,
Right.
I got a $15,000, come join the study and I'll give you $15,000.
Mhm.
No, you can't do it like that. And no coercion, no incentives, no like um like when you're recruiting, you have to clearly state that this is a study and not
Mhm.
an accepted treatment. So you have to be
Mhm.
mindful of that, not like, oh, I got this wonder drug that works.
Right.
You
Mhm.
can't say that. This is a study investigating how this drugs work. So, um, yeah, so those are the rules that
Mhm.
are there, and as with everything else, people know how to skirt the rules. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
just be honest with everyone that's
Sure.
listening that,
Yeah.
when there's rules, you have to um try not to skirt the rules. I'm just gonna put it easy like that because
Yeah.
the consequences are dire.
Well, speak to some of those consequences. I mean, like, you can talk about,
Oh,
like, legal consequences, you can talk about consequences to your business or to the trial itself.
yeah. So like the FDA finds out that that's what it does. Guess
Mhm.
what? Your data doesn't matter anymore. You think about the loss of money you get, right? You did
Mhm.
3 years of work, but one of your sites had been paying people to come in and doing it the wrong way. Guess what? Your data doesn't matter again. You
Mhm.
risk being blacklisted. I mean, I worked in regulatory and there was a site we go in to look at PIs that have done things that weren't up and up. And so they were
Mhm.
literally blacklisted and,
Wow.
are their audits done? And yeah, so when we see these names, we're like, no.
Mhm.
You could
Mhm.
you like you're not doing this anymore.
Right.
There's some of the it depends on how serious your offense is. Like you're done. Think about being a doctor and getting your license revoked. I want you to think about that level of,
Mhm. Got it. Like, it's like,
like
you're person non grata. Persona non grata.
right.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Well,
because so it's very serious. It's very serious that we are ethical. And
mhm.
again, that's what we're trying to present. The mistrust that were there before it was because people were doing these things. So
Mhm.
I really like that they are strong. That and those are the things that are put in place so we don't keep, unethically or, coercing people or, you
Right.
know, I mean, we have to stop it. So yeah, don't do it. Don't skirt the rules.
Don't be a jerk. Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. Well, but we'll speak a little bit. So yes, we can't coerce, but like certainly there are like some incentives for trial. Like, but beyond just like, are there fair incentives? Are there ways you can incentivize a trial for folks that still fall within the legal bounds and aren't considered like something coercive or
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's how you do it
Mhm,
matters. So you can reimburse travel, you can reimburse, you know, time,
mhm,
you can give them lunch, you can do all these things. But you have to be explicit. You
mm,
cannot just, when someone comes up to your side, give them a gift card. You cannot do
yeah.
that. It's
Mhm,
not written in your informed consent. There was nowhere that you put it. And if you're gonna give them a gift card, you need to be clear. $50 gift card. $10 would be loaded after the first visit, then the second. Like,
mm. So any of those
yes,
benefits, any of those incentives should be in that informed consent from the get-go and very
from the
transparent.
get-go, and
Hmm.
very transparent. And then there's more rules, like nuance rules about like
Hmm.
what you can do for doctors to get their
Got it. Oh, I'm
patients and
sure
all
there's
that.
all sorts of rules.
Yeah, and then like, you know, like saying, okay, we're giving each patients, $1 million for a visit. You also like the amount or what you do. It's like,
Hmm.
so there's a lot of nuance ways, but you get the idea, right? Like,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
there are benefits that you can give patients, but you have to be transparent about it. Like, if
Hmm.
you know you're providing childcare, if you know we're gonna do transportation, write it down, put it
Hmm.
in the informed consent. Let the patients know, let the CRO know. Everybody knows this is what happens, not some
Hmm.
under the table
Yes.
deal.
Got it.
That's when the problem comes.
Hmm.
And then you're just like, but yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. You can really help the patient for anything surrounding the trial.
I love that. Well,
Yeah.
I know we have folks here with us today and we love that y'all showed up. If there's any questions y'all have for Marlyn, like please drop them in the chat. I guess I should have said that at the very beginning, but we'll continue to talk a little bit more. Um, but feel free, like I said, to drop those questions in the chat. Um, Marlyn, like anything anything that we maybe haven't touched on that you're like, I wish we really like one thing like people don't think about is this.
Hmm. I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, okay.
We've covered everything. And when I say we've covered everything, it's because of the forum that we're in. Because this is my first time talking about patient recruitment at the founder stage, at the
Mhm.
pre-even stage. And
Mhm,
it's,
mhm.
you know, um, it was like, wow, it is possible. Like we can change the system. Change
Um,
is possible.
I love that. And I'm seeing a comment from Mary. Mary, we love that you came and hung out. And
Yeah.
she's she's a clinical trial patient, which I
Mhm.
love that like you're here like advocating for patients first. And it is absolutely recorded and we will share it out after Mary. And like we hope you'll share out with folks. But I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
Um, and again, Mary, you can like give me a thumbs up. Is this feeling good?
It is. And I just want to thank Marlyn because I connected with her on LinkedIn and I just happened to see her post at the last minute. And so I thought I'd jump on. It was valuable. I'm glad I followed the impromptu message. Thank you.
I
Thank
love
you,
it.
Mary. We're
Thank
so
you,
glad you're here.
Mary. Well, yeah, and
Yes.
I think like to your point, a lot of the companies that Startup Prize works with, we're typically seeing those companies in that pre-seed seed
Mm-hmm.
stage. So speak to that maybe. Like if you're pre-seed and you know that clinical trials are down the line, what are things that you could be doing now to kind of start putting yourself in a good position? And it doesn't necessarily mean physical things, but maybe things to be keeping in the back of mind, things that you can kind of like say, taken, point taken, let's set a pin in that. Like, let's make sure we think about that. Things that maybe as you're going through, um, as you're doing your customer discovery, as you're
Yeah.
speaking with clinicians, as you're speaking with maybe development partners, how can you be, what are things you can be looking for now that can kind of inform that trial process and then inform that clinical trial that you're designing?
Yeah, yeah. And so there's so many things, but just always think about the patient. I would advise anyone at any stage, you should talk to the patient. So at least once a month, like make it a part of your process.
Mm, mhm,
Like make it a part of your process. So you're just, you got this great idea, talk to a patient, right? Think about it. Would I want to do this? Would I want to
mhm,
wear this? Like, make it human. That's one of the things. And just put it in your calendar, patient, like checking on the patient now, like
mhm,
just a reminder. I think that's one of the main things. Is that it gets lost in all the other stuff that you have to do. So I would say put it on the calendar. Yes, Tania, make it human. Make it
make it
human. Like
human. I love
put
that.
it put it there. Like
Mhm,
have that note, next to your we need to get to series B or series, like, oh yeah, we need to talk to a patient every month, right? We need to do this. That's the only how you're gonna really have it ingrained in you, because the system now is set up. We're not talking about patients. And if you're going to do it, you have to like really push yourself and put it
mhm,
on your team, on your, ask when you're in meetings, ask like, would the patients do that? What do we have in place for the patients? Right?
mhm.
Right? Like just, you'll have to be the advocate.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I like having that like patient gut check, right? Like as
Yeah.
you're moving forward, it's like, okay, we're changing this part of the design. What does that
Yeah.
do for the patient? Okay, now we're adding this one like extra step for our clinical trial. We're gonna have to do an extra blood draw. What does that do
Yeah.
to the patient? Oh, and it also has to be in this city. We can only do it in this city. What does that do to
Yeah.
the patient?
But
And
right.
I love that. It's a great way to kind of recenter and make sure you're maybe you're
Yeah.
that vision, that mission, as Mark Newberg, one of our mentors would say, that North Star, we're still pointing
Mm-hmm.
towards that North Star. So I love that, like just kind of that
Yeah.
patient gut check.
Yeah. Put it in there. Put it on your calendar.
Um, so I do see another question here, which
Mm-hmm.
is, have you worked with any startups who have been granted NSF or NIH funding? Um, would it be the same work you do for regular companies? Oh, so like if it's grant funding, does it change? Is that am I getting that question correct? Yeah, okay, give me
Yes.
time.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like if you have federal funding, if you're working with grant funding, which I would assume many people are with their trials, right? Is a lot of times how trials are funded.
Yeah.
Does it uh change anything that you would do differently?
From my perspective, the
Mhm.
patient first, no.
Nope. I need to say like no, I would do it the exact same way.
I do the same thing now. The liberties that a pharmaceutical funded or industry funded um, startup has, right,
Hmm.
is maybe a little limited for NIH, and they have more specificities. But for
Hmm.
the work that I do the same work. You
Hmm.
know, I do the same work in terms of putting the patient first, engaging the community. Um, I know there's a lot of like with this funding, sometimes it's like you have to work with a nonprofit if you're a nonprofit and all that stuff, right?
Hmm.
But as you said, we focus on the patient. So whatever is needed, patients first. We have our strategy, patient first, and then we'll work it out because we know that it's the patients first. So
Mm.
whatever is needed, we'll do it. Patients first. And so to answer your question, yeah, it's the same work I do. Same work.
All right. Well, I think we are kind of coming down to the end. I would say last question I have, and I know like I can't, I'm gonna make sure you can't just say patient first, Marlon, because we know how much you believe that. So what
Okay.
are
I'll
those?
use a longer sentence
I know.
then.
Yeah, there you go. I'll say always keep the patient first in your right. What can companies be doing right now that can set them up for success as they move towards those clinical trials? Like, and I know we've kind of probably said it, but like, what are those
Mhm.
last words of advice that you want people to walk away with today?
So the last word of advice I would give is kind of what you said, do the gut check, right? Do not forget to do the gut check. Do not forget to check for the patients. Um, if you're if you're now, you should have a checklist, right?
Mm,
Check
mm-hmm.
those things. Checking through what you're doing. So, you know, uh I do have like a reflection question I like to
Okay.
leave with
Oh, I
you
love
guys.
that.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
please. Yeah.
yeah. Like what's one patient barrier you can design out before the trial ever starts?
Ooh, I love that. Okay, so as you're moving forward, one barrier, one like ugh, just like one thing that you can remove from your trial to make access for your patient easier.
Right.
Or to make the
So
trial
you're
easier for your patient.
right in your design, even what you're
Mhm.
building, what's one thing you can remove even before you get to your
Right,
trial,
before
so
you
you
even
don't
get
have to
started.
work. Yeah, before you even
I
get
love
started.
that. I think
Yeah, that's
we all have a habit of overcomplicating things, you know? Like, sometimes it's hard to, like, draw everything down to an essence. It makes me think
yeah,
of Coco Chanel, like, you know, when you're like what does she say? Like, as you, like, get dressed and you leave the house, take off one accessory. So, do the same for your trial, take off one of those, trial barriers. It's really super
yeah,
smart. And, like, before
yeah.
you even get to that trial design, thinking about what barriers you can remove to make a trial more accessible and easier for the
Yeah, or yeah, make your product more accessible, right?
there you go. I love that. All the
Yeah.
things.
All the things.
Yeah. Well, Marlon, I can't thank you enough. We've been talking about doing this webinar for a while, and so I really appreciate you making the time and I think it's a great reminder of why we're all in this space innovating. As who are we doing it for?
Yes. Hmm.
Uh-huh.
The
I was just gonna let
the
you finish it, but
the patience.
no, I really
The
appreciate it.
patience.
And
Patience,
thank you
yes.
all for coming to hang out with us today. We will see you at our next time. And Marlon, before you go, do you think I could get a quick Viva la Startup prize?
Yes.
I
Are
we'll
we
do
gonna
it
take a
together.
picture
We'll
or
just do a Viva la Startup prize together. It's very
yeah,
simple.
I want to take a screenshot of that.
Ooh,
Okay.
okay. Oh,
I don't know how to do it. Like
I
I
don't
see
either.
I
So
s- I s- I
no
see I
problem.
s- I
But
see it all the
we'll do a
time.
quick Viva and we will let everyone head back into their day, keeping that patient at the center and at the forefront.
For
Ready?
yes.
On the count of three. One, two, three. Viva the Startup
Viva!
Prize.
Should
Thanks
take
so
them
much, Marlon.
good.
We'll see you all
Thank
next
you.
time.
All right, bye.
Bye.